Sylvia Ashton-Warner was born on the 17th of December 1908 in Stratford, New Zealand, to a Frances Ashton-Warner and Margaret Maxwell. She was the sixth of 10 children born to the couple, the fifth being named Sylvia as well, only having lived 4 days. Because of such, Sylvia described herself as being named after a ghost. Her mother, Margaret, supported the family by teaching when her husband Francis became bedbound. Margaret's teaching methods were described as rigid and punitive, and she was often in conflict with inspectors of education. This, along with their many pregnancies over the years, resulted in Sylvia having to attend multiple schools as the family had to constantly move. While her mother was strict and old-fashioned, at one point even tying Sylvia's left hand behind her to force right-handedness, Sylvia's father influenced her humour and storytelling, which would go on to inspire her creative passions as an adult. In 1928 and 1929, Sylvia attended the Auckland Teachers Training College. This is where she would meet her future husband, a fellow student, Keith Dawson Henderson. In 1932, they married. They then, over the next few years, had 3 children. During this time, Sylvia's husband was teaching. Couples weren't allowed to teach at the same schools in New Zealand at this time, although exceptions were made for what was referred to as less desirable schools, this being Maori schools. In 1939, Sylvia persuaded her husband to apply for an assignment in a Maori school so that she could return to teaching. They were able to get a job at Horoera School in East Cape near Te Aurora. After immersing herself in Maori culture and becoming fluent in the language, she then suffered a mental breakdown and moved herself back to Wellington to receive treatment. This is where she learned how to balance her art and her teaching. The treatment she received would also go on to influence how she taught in the future. Her doctor also encouraged her to begin writing at this time. She practiced the theory that children learn best if their words and stories are their own. This was the beginning of the key vocabulary of which Sylvia would become known for. Sylvia encouraged her students to learn to read and write stories related to them that meant something to them. In 1957, Sylvia's husband became the headmaster of Beltham Maori School near Tauranga. Sylvia at this time resigned from teaching to start writing full-time. Some of her publications include Spinster, I Pass This Way, Teacher, 3, Spearpoint, and Myself. Although some of these are fiction, Sylvia's writing was heavily influenced by her classroom. She would often write about her students and her teaching methods. Although not used in Australia as it was in New Zealand, a lot can be learned from Sylvia's teaching methods of the Indigenous Maori peoples and applied to Australia's own rural Aboriginal children. Sylvia was able to immerse herself in the culture and language of the Maori and was thus able to better their education by teaching them things relative to themselves. The historical, political, and social climate of the time influenced how Sylvia taught her children. During this time, Maori children were seen as less desirable to teach. This is because they weren't able to learn as easily from the British methods of teaching that were popular at the time. The contributions that Sylvia made to educational thinking and practices is the fact that her innovative work in adapting traditional British teaching methods to the special needs of Maori children. Her key vocabulary encouraged children to learn words that meant something to them, thus making it easier for them to learn and grow. This is also why Sylvia is significant to me as a future teacher. Like Sylvia, I wish to find a balance of creativity and teaching that can be used in the classroom to further enhance each individual student's ability to grow as a person. By letting students have a say in what they learn and having it relate to them and their interests, I hope to ignite a love of learning that will grow with the student.